Hello, friends. Welcome to Squaird Plans, where creative planning and organization comes to life. I'm Stephanie, and today I'm going to be creating my faith planner setup for the month of April. We'll be decorating all of my monthly and weekly pages in a watercolor theme, so come plan with me. And I've got these washi tapes here ready to go, along with this roll of PET tape, these small tipped brush markers that I'll be using, this Live Love Posh sticker book, and this sheet of stickers from Hobby Lobby, which I'll pull from. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the weekly spread design. If you've watched my channel before, you know I like to set up all of the weeks here all at once on this one spread, since I only decorate the top left corner there that says this week for each of the weeks in the month. So I've got this roll of PET tape in these watercolor splotches. I do love me some watercolor, so I thought it'd be fun to bring some of this in and tie it with the florals that I'll be pulling from the Live Love Posh sticker book. I believe this is the Luxe Spring sticker book, but everything that I'll be using should be linked down below in the description in case you saw something that caught your eye. You can check that out and get one for yourself. So I'm going to be focusing in on just a single color for each of the weeks, as opposed to adding in all of the various colors each week in the setup. I just thought that would be a little bit nicer as far as the look and feel of things. So I'm trying to pull in the watercolor splotches that have a certain color scheme related to the floral that I'll be putting on that page as well. I'm also going to bring in some of these quote stickers that I got from Hobby Lobby. They have a lot of sheet stickers, and I just needed some faith quotes that I didn't have to make myself, and saw this sheet, which I have used before and had a few left over, so I went ahead and grabbed a second one from Hobby Lobby and am using up all that I have there on the sheet from my previous purchase. Now trying to combine the elements that I plan to use on these weekly spreads. So you can see me bringing in some washi tape. It is Easter month, or as I like to call it, Resurrection Month. So I am going to bring in some crosses using washi tape. I think I did this last year in a similar way as far as bringing in the crosses through washi, but overall the look and feel is quite different from last year's spread. If you'd like another idea using these crosses, you can check out, I think I did it in April. Yeah, I think I did it in April last year, either March or April, of course. But I think I did it in April last year. So I am layering up, like I said, those washi crosses that I've made along with a floral, and then I'm bringing in the watercolor splotches as closely as I can as far as limiting the color palette for each week. The watercolor splotches have a lot more color variation on them, so I'm just doing the ones that have the more predominant color that I'll be using for the week and bringing those in. Also dropped in a couple of quotes, as you can see, for each week, and am now working in some of the leaves that I have from that Live Love Posh sticker book that go with the florals. The reason I'm bringing those in and not sticking to just like that single color focus is because there are a bunch of collage stickers with multiple florals and leaves in them that I'll be using on some of the other monthly pages, and I just want to make sure that every page kind of matches up theme-wise throughout the monthly setup. So you can see me focusing in here at the top. There's quite a bit of pink. I think that one is working out pretty well. The blue is a little more tricky. I have some purple in there with the blue, but it is predominantly more blue. And then I've got another kind of softer purple tone down there in the bottom corner, and then the final week that I'll be setting up will be a deep purple tone. I do like to mix up the positioning of the items that I usually bring in on those weekly decorated boxes. So in some areas, I'll have the cross in the corner, top right or top left, and place the floral and the leaves kind of across from each other, no matter where I decide to put the floral. So it's some things I think about as I'm setting up to make it look a little bit more interesting and a lot less uniform from week to week. I've also cut up the PET tape from the start and had some left over from previous spreads I didn't use. So I'm bringing those in, and then I'm also cutting it in half in some cases, having it go off the side just to extend the life of the PET tape design that I've pulled for that week. I'm not being too picky with the quotes that I'm pulling in here. They're all faith quotes on that sheet, and I just love the way that they did them as far as the handwriting and the fonts they chose. So I'm just bringing them in and letting the size, I guess, be decided by how the watercolor kind of feels on the page. So if it's one where I feel like I need a little bit more to it, grab a bigger quote versus one where I feel like a 2-line quote will work. I did cut up the one that says rejoice over there in the top left corner in the pink, just to make it fit a little bit better because it was a longer straight quote and I thought that it would work better layered. Okay, I think I've got the baseline for what I want to put here on the pages, so we're going to start moving things over. I did double up a couple of the washies, I think the purple ones in particular, because I have some washi that is more opaque and some that is more transparent. And the purple one was much more transparent than the blue and the pink that I had. So I just wanted it to feel as saturated as the other two as far as the opacity. So I layered it up and doubled it up to make it a little bit more bold. I'm also going to be trimming these stickers to the edge of the box, not letting anything really hang over for the most part. There is some slight hangover you'll see on the leaf if you get up close, but for the most part, I just kind of want all of the decor to remain contained in that box. So I did have some issues with the layering on this one here, so just kind of making some adjustments, make sure that the washi tape was nice and straight and aligned where I have the cross set up. I'm also going to be placing these from week to week in a gradient type order, so I'm going to go from blue to the stronger purple to the light kind of red purple tone, and then pink on the last week. I mean, not everybody really notices that kind of stuff, but I do. So I try to appease myself, I guess, when I do my designs and setups, just so that I know, yeah, it's in gradient order, and that little bit of detail brings me joy. So we're placing that third cross in there, and again, it's another one of those washi double layered crosses. For some reason, I wove the two washis together on that one, so I couldn't adjust it as easily as I did the darker purple one. I also wanted to bring in some of the leaves I had forgotten on the wax paper from the previous week, so I just dropped those in real quick before I moved on and forgot about them. I am cutting the washi right there on the page using my little precision cutter, as well as doing the trimming on the page. I have talked about this a lot in the past, but in case you're new to my channel, those precision cutters with the ceramic blade are the best, I feel like, for dealing with stickers on your planner pages. I've tried the X-Acto knife, and for some reason it always cuts through the paper. I don't know if I just get too heavy-handed or if it's just too sharp or all of the above. But that precision cutter is such a small blade. It's sharp, but it's not deep, so it makes it a lot easier to control on your page. So I just wanted to mention that in case you are in need of one. I really recommend that. It's been on my favorites list for years now. Really happy I found it and highly recommend it for anybody who is looking for an X-Acto knife of sorts for planning. Just doing some more trimming here. Getting that last weekly up there onto the paper. And all right, I think we've got the good basis here with the weeklies. Let's set up the monthly spread now. Again, basically just going to be pulling those same colors in. I'll pull out the PET tape first, since it tends to be more of a background piece, and trim out the elements I think I'll use on this spread. I'm thinking to collect certain colors in certain spaces on the spread. We have a couple of empty days there at the end of the month and at the beginning of the month, as well as we have the sidebar for decor, and anything at the top maybe would work as well. I do use this spread pretty thoroughly as far as writing in the takeaway that I do from my daily Bible reading. So each box for every day, I'm hoping to keep completely empty as much as possible so that I have a room to write. And as you can see, these were a couple of the cluster items that were in that Live Love Posh sticker book with the florals. So again, I'm trying to minimize how much color overlay I have on this spread by trimming out any florals that are too far away from the color I'm going to be focusing in on, as you'll see. So I pulled off that blue floral, and then now we have the pink and the purple and the sidebar, which I'm kind of thinking might be more of a like tonal up to down. That's where I was going with it, where you're going to see more purple near the top, kind of pink near the middle, and then the blue in the bottom corner. Just visually, that's what I'm thinking about. Again, kind of gradiating the color around the spread versus letting them all mix together in and amongst themselves. I've also cut down a couple of those watercolor splotches to hit the edges and again focus in the colors that I want to highlight in the certain areas. I also need to bring in some greenery on these florals since I pulled a couple of pre-cut florals for the top edge. Now I'm just trying to decide the best color to use for the cross on this page, and I think we're going to go with pink. I'm going to have the crossbar going into those empty days, which I think will work pretty nicely. Did have that really dark fuchsia pink watercolor splotch in the sidebar, but I really didn't like it. So I ended up switching it out for the softer pink tone. I also need to bring in some of these quotes. So I'm just going to pick probably more horizontal ones for these empty day areas, since I think that's going to be the best fit for quotes on the spread. Kind of nice that this is on a clear sheet, so you can really move it around before you even take it off of the backer and figure out where you want to place it. I also love to use the scraps, so I'm pulling in anything that I think is usable and placing it on the edges, anything that I've trimmed that can make an element feel a little bit more full. Okay, so let's go ahead and prep the areas where the empty days are for the stickers. Using my newest favorite, my white gel pens that I got from Journal Say, to white out those darker black lines that separate out the boxes to make a nice clean look behind these stickers. So I went ahead and dropped in that bottom corner in the blue, and now we'll put in the top cluster that I made in this softer red purple tone. And then separate the pages. This one corner is the only one that I've allowed the stickers to butt into the functional space. I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's a small, one-time deal. So I don't think that day's takeaway is going to be hurt to the point where I feel like it's not functioning, if that makes sense. I like to place things when I can to make things more interesting with the decor, but again, always thinking about function and those limitations. And that quote stuck down too fast when I moved over this cluster, so I'm just going to make some adjustments here and then reset the quote. Of course, do the trimming and save any bigger pieces. I'm also going to need to clean out the holes on this page where the stickers overlay there, but I'll do that at the end. I don't feel like doing it right now, so we'll do that at the end. So before I move on to the next spread, I decided to put in the area where I track my daily Bible reading verses. I'm going to be using those 4 pens I pulled throughout the month, and because those are going to be the colors that we're going to use, I am going to bring all 4 into this monthly layout. I started out with a thinner line and decided I wanted it to be a little bit more bold. Not a full highlight, but a thick line that I could put those verses on. And then underneath, I will probably go back before the month begins and draw in some lines too to make my setup a little bit easier to write in and keep things neat and tidy. Started doing that back in January, I think, and have really liked the look of it. So we're going to keep that going this year. Just takes a little bit more elbow grease to set up, but you'll be able to see how it turns out in the monthly flip through at the beginning of the following month. Okay, so we've moved on to the last spread we're going to set up here, which is my faith overview spread. This is a layout that is in my shop, sold separately from other items, but allows you to kind of have a faith-based spread in your planner that you could just print at will. It has a space for some habits that I track, like my morning prayer and my daily reading, and then a prayer list area. On the bottom right, it has some spiritual check-in questions, which is kind of nice to have a monthly overview of how you were doing spiritually each month. I neglected to mention too that I use a quadrant layout for my shop for the weeklies, And the monthly is also from my shop, just a standard split page month. Okay, so I've already started building out this spread. You can see I had one cluster that was very full and had all of the different colors in there, so I just decided to go with it. I've brought in a blue cross for that area and am going to focus more in on the pinks and the purples in the left areas. I ended up cutting up that pre-cut sticker to put it in a corner. I think that's going to work out pretty well. And I'm just trying to work in some of the watercolor splotches. And of course a quote. Laying things in, trying to make sure they all layer properly as well, so that nothing gets covered up that I don't want. One of the great things about the PET tape is that it is not transparent where the paint is. It's almost like an acrylic paint on clear sticker versus having it be more like an ink or a clear label sticker. It does do a lot of covering when you layer it on top of each other. It's not very transparent like most clear stickers are from sticker books. So I really love that about it. It gives a lot of dimension to a spread and can be worked in layers that I feel like works more natural than how some of the clear stickers will combine with each other. So I've got my clusters in. I, again, am maintaining that functional space as best as possible. Dropping in any trimmings that I can to make things look a little bit fuller. Sorry, that's so low there on the camera. And just need to adjust the sky. It's a little bit off. I don't know if I really fixed it, but we'll go with that. Just want to make sure that the layering is good. And then, of course, we'll do the trimming. And on this side, we will move over the big blue cross and floral cluster. Just going to drop that in. Have to make a few adjustments where things were getting caught up. The only downside of trying to move over a big cluster, sometimes things create little bubbles where you don't want them and you have to be able to adjust. And pretty much all of the stickers that I use pulled up really nicely, except for the quotes. The quotes were a little bit more permanent once they touched the page. Just a FYI, but PET tape moves beautifully. And then the clear stickers from the Live Love Posh sticker book moved very easily as well. And okay, so the final step here will be to clean out these holes. I'll also add in a bit of the highlighter at the very, very end, but cleaning out the holes was the priority here. Again, using that precision cutter and my little Daiso cutting mat. I wanted to make sure I didn't forget the first page that I set up in the monthly. So just gonna, again, use those highlighters like I mentioned here in all the 4 colors just to tie things together. And once I'm done with that, we will be done, friends. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below. Also, too, go ahead and leave me a comment if you'd like to get in touch. And think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, if you'd like to see more of my videos. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And we will see you next time. Bye.